limitations, we're going to look at the DBX noise reduction system, the hiss reducer, and why I controversially don't use it. Here we go. I'm sure all my 4-track analog viewers are familiar, but for all of you youngins like myself, there was a big problem before computers, before digital recording. Tape hiss. Both professional and home recordists alike were trying to combat this problem, and smarty pants audio engineers came up with some solutions. One of those smarty pants engineers was David E. Blackmer. He invented the DBX noise reduction system in 1971, and Tascam later adopted it for use on their machines like mine. Okay, before I go further, what is DBX? To quote the Tascam Porta2 manual,
the DBX is a wideband compression expansion system which provides a net noise reduction, broadband, not just hiss, of a little more than 30 decibels. In addition, the compression during recording permits a net gain in tape headroom of about 10 decibels.
Huh? Thankfully, the manual provides some visual aid. When engaged, the DBX system compresses the signal going in while recording and expands it during playback. They affectionately coined the term compander to describe it. I should mention that on my machine it is optional. To use it, you must push this button. For everyone unfamiliar with the DBX system, whether you are choosing to use it while recording or not, you must commit to one or the other for recording and playback. In other words, this is not something that you use to enhance a recording after it's made. It encodes a recording going in and fixes it going out. On a side note, DBX became its own company, and now it's owned by a subsidiary of Samsung. They make professional audio equipment. I even have one of their old compressors, the 163X. I've been asked a lot on this channel and in my DMs, why don't you use the DBX system? Well, to be perfectly blunt, when I first tried it, I hated it. I hated the way it made the drum machine sound in particular. Of course, later on, I had the thought, am I using it wrong? Coming up, you're gonna hear the sound of me recording the drum machine, so the sound before it hits tape, and then I'll play back the results so you can hear the difference. First, let's just hear the way I've been recording the drum machine and all the music. No DBX. You can already hear the hissing. Okay, now that sounds pretty hissy, right? So the way I've been recording music on the machine, I'm hitting those VU meters pretty hot. Because I don't use DBX, I just want to get as much headroom between the noise floor, and I do like the sound of saturation, pretty heavy saturation. Let me try to record the drum machine at the same levels I just used with the DBX. Now again, you're going to hear the sound of the machine first going in, and then I will play it back. Here we go. So that's kind of when I threw my hands up in the air and said, I don't like this DBX thing. I don't like how it's muffling the kick drum and softening the transients on the drum machine, so I'm going to ignore it. Now, just for comparison, we're going to do a hearing test. I've recorded 2 separate tracks. One, I've recorded the instruments with DBX, and the other I've recorded without DBX. And I'm just going to play them back to back, and you'll tell me which one you think has DBX, which ones you don't. Leave it in the comments as you're listening, or just comment afterwards. You know how it goes. It's a fun listening experiment. So check this out. Did you make your guess? The first track had no DBX. That means the second track, I used DBX. There you have it. Now you know why my music has sounded so hissy so far. Maybe I just haven't figured out the perfect margin of error of level input going into the DBX and hitting the preamps. If that's the case though, then using DBX greatly increases the headache of recording, which is the last thing that I want to do. I just want to get to business and start creating. I live in a small space, so it's not like I have a studio where things are constantly set up. I have to put everything away when I'm done, because this is a hallway. So, in other words, by the time I'm done pulling this out, I don't want to have to fiddle around for another half an hour just to get just the right level for the drum tone. I'm not gonna lie, making this video honestly has made me rethink using DBX. Maybe I shunned it too quickly. Ultimately, for me, the hiss has never been a distraction. I viewed it as part of the aesthetic of the music that I was making. Let me know your thoughts. Do you use the DBX on your 4-track? Let me know in the comments first if you had any preferences. Did you prefer the sound of no DBX on the drums? Did you prefer the sound of the DBX with the drums? Could you hear a difference between the tracks, non-DBX and versus with DBX? And if you could hear the difference, what was your preference? I'm just curious. Stay tuned. I'm gonna play both tracks toggled back and forth so you can really just hear the difference between the two back and forth. But with that, as always, peace and be good to each other. Word of the day is human error.